Peace YouTube, this is FleurBrun coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. I'm trying to see if I'm on. I think I am. If you come in the room, just put a like as a common courtesy before we start the discussion. I hope everyone's doing well. Some of you joined me over on, I'm not even sure if you're here. Well, I guess when you check in, because sometimes I can't tell if you're on here. There you go, good vibes. Hey, good vibes. Okay, so you guys are coming in. So check on in for a wonderful topic of discussion. I just left some of you a while ago on Instagram. So peace to the east, the west, the north, and the south. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Diana. Hey, son. So, you know, if you were on Instagram, you saw I came from the spa. That I did my first fish spa. It's very interesting. I did my first fish spa and a detox. So it was really nice. So get a chance. It was a really nice place. So for those who want to visit the spa in Orlando, it's amazing. The guy was really sweet. And it was my first time doing a fish spa today. Wanted to try something new, and then I did an ionic cleanse afterwards. So yeah, it was a fish spa. So if you check it out on my Instagram, it's really cute though, and it wasn't anything unhygienic. You know, it was just basically there's no teeth on the fish. They didn't eat my dead skin. This is just a different kind of spa. It's more hygienic. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna get into the topic of discussion. Yeah, a lot is going on. Hey, Rohan. A lot of things going on in the Matrix family. Now, are any of you noticing? If you're checking on in last minute, just put a like on the video as you walk in, step into the room, just as a common courtesy. Many of you, aloha. Are you guys okay? So let's just make sure. I hope everyone can see me. There shouldn't be any problems. And again, you know, I can't. There isn't anything I can do to control. The spa was really nice. To control what's going on here. It is in my Wi-Fi. It happens sometimes. So hopefully you'll be able to see me. Okay, 13. Can you guys see me? Loud and clear. Perfect. Okay. I don't have tons of electronics. There isn't anything in the house. My twin flame. Oh, I have stuff on my mouth. My twin flame isn't here. Sometimes he has his laptop on, and when he has his, I notice like if he has his laptop on in the room, then sometimes it'll mess with my Wi-Fi sometimes. But he's not here all the time. Okay, so here we go. So topic of discussion. Much is happening on the Matrix. It is an interesting time. The collapse of the timeline is underway. The pole shift is occurring as we speak. Now, I talk about the neural architect, and there's a new show on, I'm not going to do a spoiler alert. There's a new show, I think it's on Netflix. I started watching it a while ago. It kind of goes into this concept a little better so you get a better idea. I'll kind of talk about it after the fact. But yes, neural architect, that's basically how we see things and how it manifests into our reality. Okay, so that's the Matrix. It's the binary codes that together conglomerate the entirety of how we co-create in the Matrix. Remember, for anyone stepping in the room, please put a like on the video. But if you don't know, we are living in a holographic interaction. This isn't real. Those glasses aren't real. This earring isn't real. We have all collectively come here and have made a decision to make a concrete visual of things. Yes, we're going to get into what Rudolph of Germany, and that's kind of what jumped off with this. We've all come together and collectively made agreements to create what we see and call it a table, a glass, an earring. We've made things concrete, but in it itself, we are coexisting. If you aren't aware of that, I'm gonna just remind you, it is my knowing. Notice I didn't say understanding or belief. I said it is my knowing that we are all interacting in a holographic system where we are co-creating our environment. That is why you get synchronicities when thoughts are things, okay? That's why when you think of things, Island was sick, right? Radioactive already knows the show. Oh my God, Radioactive, don't get me started already. We're already going into that, okay? So basically, when we're co-creating, we basically have a thought and it comes into fruition. That's why sometimes, I don't know, many of you are a certain age, when we were young, it was like punch buggies. If you see a bug on the street, like one of those old bug cars, from back in the days, you would punch each other, kind of like that. That's synchronicity. So as soon as you have the thought, something comes into your peripheral or your plain sight to remind you of the thought that you just had. So a lot of people say, well, it's by chance. Some others will say, oh, it's by, it's just the power of thought and suggestion that allows for, wow, it's amazing. YouTube just put it just told everyone I'm on live. Okay, basically it says, so synchronicity is the thought coming into your head and then you seeing something that's a reminder of what you said, almost to the degree of whatever you were thinking. Okay, so if this was reality, okay, I'm just going to give you some quantum ways to see and feel quantum mechanics. If this was real, how is it that your thoughts could project and show up in your reality almost instantaneously or otherwise in other forms of synchronicity that may show up later? It is because you are coexisting in a holographic system that is based on your neural pathways. How you think projects into your reality. That is why they work so hard at traumatizing you from children. That is why they work so hard to vaccinate your children. That's why they work so hard to make sure that they imprint programs in you that will keep you perpetually locked and blocked from ever superseding a certain cap of consciousness. And if we all realize that this is a co-created, cinemated, holographic reality, then you would know that there isn't anything outside of what you could manifest into reality. And what is interesting about that is many people say, well, why are there the haves and have-nots? Remember, the programming is serious. And there are beings here who were inserted into the holographic system that aren't from our world, who have the overstanding and the awareness of what they're in. So let's just say me and you go out and we're hanging out and you've played, I don't know, Centipede before, right? These are old games that I used to play as a child. Or Pac-Man. And we're going out and we're going to play. So you've played Pac-Man before, I haven't. So we're going to the arcade and you say, you want to try Pac-Man? Yes. So I go and try Pac-Man, I'm losing, the ghosts are eating me up, I don't get many cherries, it's kind of like my score is low. But you have mastered the game, you have an awareness of the game, you knew about it before we walked into the game, so you have already your heightened awareness, your skill set based on you walking into a perimeter that you're familiar with, and you having an idea and understanding the game that you're going to engage with places you at a higher advantage. It is the same with many of the dark beings or many of the others that are cloaking themselves, that have been inserted or have inserted themselves in the matrix, the neural architect that we call the matrix, and they have an advantage based on the fact that they understand what it is, where most of us have been cloaked or capped consciously, so we think that everything is real. And this is what some of you will call me on Kiki sessions, and I will help you overcome that, because many of the reasons why they work so hard on certain populaces to keep a limited concept of abundance with poverty consciousness. I always talk about this with a lot of the urban community. This is one of the #1 programs that they have stemming. That's why you see these hip hop guys get into sports figures that are brown men or brown women who get in these positions of having tons of wealth, but they still have poverty mindset. So they end up usually spending all of their money, not even having a concept that it's real, always thinking that they're going to lose it. So they always have a certain state of desperateness in how they engage with even the wealth that they've been able to accumulate based on being in, a home court advantage position, serving the system. Because if you're a sports figure, big up to all my sports figure, I know quite a few of you. Our sports figures, they get into it, but you are the slave to the wave. The only reason they give you that astronomical amount of money is because you are keeping up with the status quo, and you are upholding the agenda of the Dark Kabbalah. So you're entertaining people based on some of these sports that are utilizing reptilian types of abilities or reptilian type of mindset. I've talked about super balls, right? None of you like that, super balls, where you have men running around in spandex, bending over, talking about height with a ball in between, and then other men running on them and jumping on top of them and dancing at the end zone, right? Or kicking a ball in between. I mean, if that's not a reptilian sport, I don't know what is. Okay, so these are things that are helping to uphold the matrix standards. Same with, entertainment, which many of you realize that television, right? Television, which was created as part of the eugenics program by the Nazis. If you don't believe me, you can go and look it up. It was created for mind control. So what you think is sitting down, chilling, watching your daily news stories, which has a narrative that they created to further indoctrinate you. You're sitting there and basically being fully fed with more programming that helps to cap your consciousness even further. Okay, so these were neural technology that was meant to enhance and to create narratives and programs that would be instilled into your subconscious and would help you to shop a certain way, to obsess with a certain way, to see yourself in a certain way, to uphold yourself in a certain way. It absolutely has put you in a position to be susceptible to mind control. Okay, and those, and hey, sensei, those who are in the heightened awareness, that's why they're always talking about the awakening. So let's get into the topic of discussion. I know I kind of touched on everything. So we have the neural architect collapsing. Now, the neural architect is basically the perimeters, the molecular structure, the quantum perimeters of the matrix. It's how we all interact with each other in our we're projecting. That's why it's very good for you to clear yourself projecting, and we're creating or co-creating our realities, okay? And based on that, we have a collapsing. Now, what would be causing the collapsing? There's several things occurring right now. So many of you may have already seen Rudolph of Germany, and I talk about the tall white aliens. I think me and Rudolph of Germany kind of have known each other for years now, and I talked about him partaking with me in the event that happened last year, a little further than last year. If you step in the room, just put a like on the video as a common courtesy, please. YouTube has been making sure that they survey my channel only. Big up to YouTube for making sure I'm doing a good job. Everyone's texting me online. I'll call everybody back when I'm off. So we have this architect that's collapsing because we have the geomagnetic field also now not as strong and starting to basically fold. Okay, so your magnetic field is what allows us to uphold the manifestation, the hologram. Okay, the hologram is being upheld by the magnetic field because many other planets are not under the same type of physical perimeters or limitations as Earth. Earth is basically like it's either a boot camp, it's a prison planet, it is a school, it's a multitude of things, and it's used in it has multiple facets. Okay? Many of the ETs or extraterrestrials or interterrestrials see their own here as basically like a training grounds in order to see from a perspective that they would be limited if they because they're not human, so to speak. Okay, so that being said, now we have the magnetic field, which is being compromised because of the upcoming pole shift. Now, again, if you've talked to me for a while or you've been around me for a while, this is not anything that's new. Like Dr. W. Blair says, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay. I'm sorry, I've got a super hydrate. I just had a fish spa today and an ionic detox to make you a little dehydrated. So because of the pole shift and the switch in the poles actually becoming compromised, based on the planet moving into another part of the galaxy, which we've done this every 36,000 years. Someone else has other numbers. I can't say so to speak, but the Mayans spoke about this. The Hopi spoke about this. Big up to all those who are celebrating Rosh Hashanah today. Our Judaic, some of the Judaic texts talk about this time. Many religions talk about the rapture. Okay, so there are many different religions and beliefs and sects of metaphysics. Sorry if it bothers you that I have Ebonical. Somebody said they didn't like the way I talk because I sounded ignorant. I was like, if I sound ignorant, this is probably not the channel to you because I make up words. So we're going through a pole shift, and many people talk about this time. And what you may be noticing, I think a lot of you are feeling it, and we have, make sure you put a like on the video for those who are in the room. We see I have 360 folks in here. Please be kind and it's like a general courtesy when you walk in the room. I appreciate it. So now many of you should be noticing that how you perceive things is a little differently. And this is what I really, really respected, that Rudolph of Germany made a video talking about the looming, he calls it the looming pole shift, the upcoming pole shift, which I actually think it's happening much faster and much closer than even I've denoted. And I think he would agree with that. We talk about your perception. So what happens is that when you're looking into things, if you notice, family, many of you probably notice it seems really dreamy out here, right? Not like the incense that I'm burning right now. It seems really dreamy, right? Anytime I've been pregnant in the past, like if I've been pregnant before, I would liken how I see right now as when I was pregnant. Anytime I get pregnant, because I'm holding a soul, not every womb holds a soul on this planet. I've brought souls on this planet. And that's another conversation, okay? That's not a judgment. That's an observation that I know to be true. Not every womb will carry a soul, spark a soul, but I've carried souls. And when I'm carrying a baby, I will always notice my eyesight, my perception changes, almost as if I'm sharing space inside of me, an occupied space, almost like I'm moving over, and everything seems really dreamy. Now, what you should be noticing now is that you're feeling like you're in a dream state, okay? Many of you are feeling like, why does it seem like everything's dreamy? Nothing's congruent anymore. There isn't any crispness, to the reality that I'm in. And this is where Rudolph of Germany made a phenomenal point, because the magnetic field is now basically folding and collapsing our reality, our normal holographic system that used to be like HD. We used to have like HD and how we saw everything. Everything was crisp. Everything was clear, but everything seems hazy. Very, very great. Very good, Nye. Very hazy lately. Almost like you're like, am I awake? Am I here? That is the result of the collapsing of the magnetic field. The magnetic field influx is causing fuzzy vision. A lot of us are feeling it. Also, we were talking about the feet. That's why I wanted to bring up the fish. You know, I did the fish spa today and making sure, because the way that we are not grounded anymore, because there isn't a certainty, because once you collapse a hologram, which many are unaware, remember, we're aware. This is what I love about our community. We are aware that this is a hologram. For most of us on here, I hope you accept that. Because if you don't, it's going to be a loopy ride for the next couple of years, okay? If you aren't accepting this as a hologram, then you may just let anything project what they want for your reality, and you may accept it. That's part of the programming that they do. So that's why they'll send out all these chaotic movies about 2012, about you know, the end of the world, alligators in Florida. You know, what was that? What was that movie called? What's it called? Crawlers or something? Like, oh, there's a tsunami and there's like alligators. They put that, yeah, as a distraction, and also to put a programming of fear in you. So remember, we co-create. So if you're around people, remember mass hysteria? Remember back in the days, they would say, oh, if a whole bunch of people were in a room and one person started freaking out, then everybody would start to have the same reaction. Or you ever sneeze? Because we have a slight connection to one another. You ever sneeze, or you ever, what is it? Was it sneezing? Like sneeze and the other person sneezes? we have these like subliminal, subconscious ways that we interact with one another. Yawn, thank you, yawn. So one will yawn, so I'll do it now. And you all have the same reaction because we have a subconscious way that we interact with one another, okay? So it's the same thing as having mass reactions to the same programming. So if they perpetually tell you this is going to happen, or they perpetually tell you that they're going to impeach your president, or they perpetually tell you that brown people are devils and they rob everybody in the ghetto, you will eventually take on the program. You ever listen to Hot 97? This is not a hit to Hot 97. I love my New York radio. I haven't listened to New York radio only when I get to New York. I'll leave it in a couple. No, I'm supposed to be, well, I'll be somewhere else. Okay. But like when I go to the radio, you listen to radio, you ever notice they play the same songs over and over? Predictive program. They play the same songs over and over. They'll loop. You'll hear the same artist. I've gone to New York and I've driven in the morning and I'm hearing the same loop of same artists over and over again. And at first, hey Yolo, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference, Mama. It's gonna be exciting. So sometimes you'll hear the same music, but you ever hear a song you don't like Cardi B? Listen, I rebuke Cardi B and what she represents. I don't know what ritual she did. I don't know whose blood ritual she did to make it to the pinnacle point that she is with zero talent. But Cardi B was one of those people that if I listened to Cardi B, it would piss me off. And then, because they played it all the time, at the end of the day, they would play her song again, and I would feel myself bopping the head. That's programming. And I would have to knock it out and rebuke her. I would have to sage the heck out of myself. I use every religious modality to clear myself of Cardi B because she isn't healthy. That isn't a healthy frequency that I want on me. So I have to clear it. I got to do all kinds of religious, whatever works. It's an exorcism of sorts, okay? They do that purposefully because they know if they perpetually do something over and over again, it will take. It's like breaking a horse. I don't know if anyone, was raised with horses. I used to train special needs children. I used to help special needs children when I was little, help them ride horses, right? And it was really sad because they would have to break horses by perpetually making them do something over and over again until they broke, right? So it's the same thing with people. The difference is, family, we have a system that's breaking down, and we have beings that have already used Project Looking Glass. They're working with ET groups, several different ET groups. It's not just one, it's several. They have their own agendas. So they have their own programs that they're putting out there while we're in this fog. That's where it's very important to check your mic. Remember, if you haven't heard that video, please listen to my previous video on talking about checking your mic. The timeline has already collapsed. So if you're around, and I'm sorry to say this, because I'm sorry, but if you're around a lot of diabolical people, if you walk outside your house every day and you're smelling pee on the floor, you're seeing 40 cans on the ground, you're seeing people that are shooting, stabbing, or in drug, and drug enhanced, then chances are that's the timeline you collapsed on, and you're just gonna have to ride that out for 12 years and slay it. Because that's why they made that movie. Because it was 12 years would be until reset. Okay? So they basically are making sure that whatever you collapse in, that's why it was very important. That's why, the 2012 loop, I think we talked about this on the other show, the 2012 loop, the 2012 we had 7 years ago was a dress rehearsal. We didn't enter 2012 until the Hebrew calendar, which is right now, 2012. 7 years ago, you got a dress rehearsal in 2012. Like, what are you going to do? You had 7 years to get it right. Listen to 7 by Prince, okay? You had 7 years to get it right. And if you notice, family, look at the 7 years. Look how much we went through. I don't know one of us on here, big up to anyone in the room, please put a like on the video if you come in as a general courtesy. I don't know any of us on the room in here who haven't gone through it in 7 years. Each one of us, because we've known each other for a while. I've been on YouTube, a lot of mommies, a lot of uncles. We've all been through it for 7 years. 7 years, we're watching, 7 years we've been watching everything. Like, we've been going through, like, breakups. We've been going through, like, changing our eating. We've been changing the way we think. A lot of you purged religion out of your life. Some of your family members, you rebuked them. A lot of the way that we think about ourselves, the things that we've been doing with our own consciousness. 7 years. And I know it's true because I've seen it with all of us, because we've all been through it together. This is the beauty of it. So that was our dress rehearsal, family. But the real deal is now. We're in 2012. The collapse in the timeline is happening as we speak. It's still folding. We're still going. Collapsing is like an onion. It's layering. It's a layering effect. Okay? But the interesting thing about this, 2020 is where we're going to get our clear vision, Lachelle. Thank you. 2020 will have clear vision. All right? But we're having the fogginess now because we have the magnetic field, which isn't anymore, it's not tangible anymore. And in order to make your hologram work, hey Melanated High Priestess, make your hologram work, hey Vivian, you have to have certain factors, environmental factors. Why do you think they are putting in your happy chemtrails every day a cocktail of barium, selenium, aluminum, barium, and other cocktails of metals? You know why they do that daily, right? They've been doing chemtrails heavy for the last 7 years. Do you know why they're doing it? Because barium helps to uphold the hologram. Those metals help for that HD visual that we get when we see each other. That's the visual we get with the HD. It basically allows us to see our hologram more crisp. And they've been pouring that down. And big up to like I said, the spa today. I actually I did a cleanse today, and you know how clean I am. I had sparkles come out of my skin today because I did the cleanse again. That's how much, and I make sure I protect my skin. That's how much metal and aluminum and all that stuff they have raining down on us daily via chemtrails. That helps to uphold the visual, the cinematography that we call our lives. And that's why I tell you, family, thoughts are things. But Delbert Blair pressed hard with me over 13 years ago. I realized it was over 13 years ago. Delbert Blair said, thoughts are things. What do you care about what others perceive? It's your perception that creates your reality. So everything's basically collapsing. So you're also going to see people lose their minds. Now, listen, they didn't have, listen, not many people had minds anyway, because a lot of them are possessed, and I'm going to have a real conversation with our family right now. You are going to have to, I mean, when I saw the other day on somebody's body, and it was just glancing on one of the YouTube things, that they had one of these type of dark beings sitting on their, like on their shoulder, one time of their shoulder, like, and you could see their shoulders there are beings here that are parasites that you are able to see now. But listen, wine and spirits, y'all gonna have to check yourself before you wreck yourself. If you are not engaging with, we call it punch in my language, say punch, liquor, okay, liquor, or punch, we say punch, you'll hear me say punch sometimes, that's how I say liquor, okay, punch, you see them drinking, dropping it like it's hot. They are basically allowing portals to be open, and they have attachments to them. Okay, and then you take in a couple of other factors, because normally back in the days, things could attach to you, but they clear off. They couldn't sit on you. Because of the state of the matrix and the way that the collapse is happening, the things are sitting on them and they're able to stay, because the magnetic field, which was stronger, would disallow from being sitting on you too long. So even if you drink, you could kind of shake it off. Are you noticing now when you drink, the recovery time is longer? The recovery time is longer. You drinking like a couple drinks, a couple cocktails. It seems like the cocktails, it's not the cocktails, family. It is the type of parasitic beings that come at the end of times or the beginning of times. They're here. And they're here in the droves. Now, if you ever watched Aquaman, why am I so loud? I'm talking like I'm in the middle of Central Park. I'm so sorry I'm yelling at you. I just noticed. I'm sorry. That's so rude. Sometimes I'm a New Yorker and it shows up because New Yorkers can be loud. And it's because we have to talk over subway systems or a lot of people in crowds. Hey, Dollface. I'm sorry. So I apologize. I get passionate too as a Sag. Okay. So remember, we have these beings that are attaching. So if you ever got a chance to watch Aquaman, watch Aquaman again. Remember the time, I don't know if you saw it. You should have seen it already. Hopefully I don't don't mess up the way you perceive the movie. But You'll see Aquaman. Remember when they go on the boat, him and the other Aqua lady with the red hair? She's so pretty. She looks like Ivy, like an Ivy kind of character. She's on the boat with him, and there's like all these goblin looking, creepy looking sea urchin things on the boat. And they're like diving in, and it's like a sea of blackness behind them. It was freaky. That to me, now that scene, I don't know if it bothered you, but seeing that scene, it bugged me out. Like that scene to me was probably the scene that was like, oh, that's frightening. So that is what we have, because remember, there are a lot of beings here who are going to feast on the death. Now, death doesn't mean that your corpse is here. Death means your soul isn't here anymore. So you're going to see people lose their minds. And you're also going to see decloaking. We're seeing beings. You don't need to wear glasses anymore. There isn't any more breaking the code of disillusion. You will see things on people, and you will have to be mindful, because things are jumping on one person and jumping off another. If you're sitting there drinking, dropping it like it's hot, thinking it's back, 5 years ago, I will tell you, family, this isn't to put fear in you. This is for you to be proactive. These beings are here to feed, because we're in pole shift time. This is a beautiful time on the planet. And if you are in alignment, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the time we've all prepared for. It's a beautiful time. So there isn't any fear with this. But if you're going to basically forfeit your right to have a body, remember, a lot of these beings they don't even have the consciousness to have bodies. That's why you're seeing people walk down the road and they don't even look like they can walk. I took a picture of a being that I don't know if he jumped out of a timeline. I don't know what he did. He wore a skirt. He's been walking barefoot for the last 4 weeks around the general area. He's wearing a sweater around he looks like he hasn't been human in a long time. He hijacked somebody's body. I could just see it because there's no fields around him. That's not a human. I don't know what he is, but it's not like an alien or anything like that. It's something that hijacked someone's body. Wine and spirits, family. Wine and spirits. Unless you are engaging with your ancestors. This is my advice. If you like to drink, I'm not a drinker, but if you do, let's say I wanted to have a drink. When you have a drink, make sure that you are only engaging. You have to say it or think it. You are only engaging with your own ancestors that are for your highest and greatest good. Be careful, because you could have some drunks that passed away in your family, and they want to latch onto you to have back that life that they used to have where they had addictions. Okay, so Sylvia Brown went into this. Rest in power, Sylvia Brown. Remember, she was on Montel Williams many years ago, and she was talking about many psychics could not go near bars. Do you guys remember that? There was like a whole thing. Remember, she was talking to Montel. She said she couldn't go near a bar, and he didn't understand why. And she said she couldn't go near a bar because the lost souls that had lost their lives still had the addiction, and they didn't cross over. So they would hover around people drinking to kind of feed off of them in the bar. So she would go and she would be overwhelmed with these beings trying to latch onto her light and see them on top of people, like literally on top. Could you imagine? If you could get the bird's eye view of beings attaching to you. So what I say is this, because listen, I do agree that we are to enjoy ourselves on this planet. We did come here, and you aren't just to go to the goal, you are to enjoy the scenery. I am a very big proponent on enjoying yourself. I believe that the journey to where we go is just as exciting as the destination. I just love it. So I want you to enjoy yourself here. I want you to do it, but I want you to be mindful when you engage with punch, okay, punch, if you drink any punch, then you make sure that you say consciously, and you put up a field saying the only thing that can interact with you are those ancestors, your own personal ancestors that are only for your highest and greatest good. So you aren't being vampired off of these dark, goblin type of energies that are eating off of you, trying to feed and trying to feel the alcohol. Because there's a lot of beings who end up drinking alcohol and they basically black out, and they're doing things, having sex with strangers. They don't remember things. Sometimes they murder people. That's a real deal. Just be mindful. GMO weed is another thing. Thank you, Karmic Kitty. GMO weed. Why do you think they created weed at the end of the times? This is our home court advantage. Why would they do it now? You know how many years the hippies have been smoking marijuana? They've been chiefing. I don't chief. I chief. because I always tell you, I'm not anti-cheat. I know you guys cheat, but I'm not a fan of doing anything and changing the molecular structure. I always tell you, drink it in teas, because in the islands, that's what we do. I know islanders smoke it, but in the right, you don't want to change something that's a beautiful herb. So rather than alter it, what you do is you steep it. You don't want to change your molecular, because when you burn something, you change its molecular structure, and that's when you get drugs. That's why when you take cocaine and you heat it up, it turns into crack, right? So when you heat up something, it changes the molecular structure, and it isn't any longer the herb that it was before it was burned. Okay, that's just what I know. Okay, so you can put it, it's good for arthritis. I told you about my boyfriend's mother, who was from Jamaica, was like almost 100 years old. She had overproof rum with ganja seeds for like over 20 years, remember? And I told you she put the liquid on my feet for my mother. She said, I'm going to see a whole bunch of lunar men. I'll hallucinate. And I saw a whole bunch of lunar men, and the fever broke within 24 hours. Okay? So I'm just saying, these are things that you need to understand. GMO weed that they're creating, that THC, I told you, they gave me chocolate. My own friends. Please put a like on the video if you step in the room. We got 553 people, just as a common courtesy. I appreciate it. My friends said, you want a piece of chocolate? They know I don't smoke. And I told you what happened. I didn't know there's something called Colorado candy. I took this little piece of chocolate. She said, oh, there's weed in it. I said, oh, like brownies. I'm thinking it's like when you bake your own brownies. When people bake brownies with chief in it. Oh, no, family. I was in another world. And remember, I don't eat all that stuff, so I'm pretty clean. As much as you guys think I'm here eating all kinds of craziness, I eat really well and I'm very healthy. I took a little bit of that chocolate and I was on another planet. And I said, and nobody told me, because remember, as clean as my body was, there wasn't any drugs that I ever participated with, and it didn't sit well in my system. These are the things we have to be careful, okay? And also, be mindful of doing things that compromise your integrity. There shouldn't be people hanging around with people who are doing diabolical things. If you are a man, you're a beautiful man, and you're hanging out and your homeboys are, sleeping with a multitude of women while they're married, or they're harmful, they aren't participating in being a father, even though they have a multitude of children, or they're always talking disparagingly about other people, and you're hanging with them, you are taking on that field. Okay, so how the matrix collapses will also impede on your vibration, making you more susceptible to infiltration, because goblins are here. They are. I saw one sitting on the shoulder, and it was broad daylight. I was like, oh, they're brazen. Sitting on the shoulder. Okay? Watch who you're around, watch what you put in your body, and watch what you listen to. It's all relative. Okay, so now we have the foggy vision. Many of you are experiencing that. We've talked about the feet, the physical. Many of you are starting to feel like in your dream state. So we go into that as well. I've discussed that before. I personally, this is my thought, and I haven't vetted it out, but I've kind of taken on this concept. I personally think some of us are in a you guys pronounce this word so much better, you know what I'm saying. Oh my mon Dieu. You know what I mean, when you're frozen in state in like in a cryo state. Thank you. Chronological. Thank you. Sometimes I don't have the words, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, cryogenic. Thank you, Paige. Cryogenic. I personally think we're in a cryogenic, some of us on a ship, or in laboratories, depending on who has your avatar. If you ever watched Avatar, I would personally think you rewatch that movie with a higher understanding, overstanding, and understanding. Because I personally think that we are there. That's why they say it's an awakening. Why would they use that term? Do you ever think that? Why would they use that term? Awakening, you're assuming that we're not awake. What does that mean? It's actually literal. I've vetted that out. It's literal. It means for us to wake up from the slumber. Why are we asleep? Where are we asleep? We are actually somewhere else. This is my personal opinion. You may disagree. This is what I allow on this platform. I personally think many of us are in ships or in laboratories, coexisting, co-creating with one another, and part of us coming into awareness and awakeness is the layering effect of us. If you ever watched, what's that movie? I talk about it all the time. It's the movie that Inception. Watch Inception again. We should do like a watch party with that. Watch Inception. The layering effect of how you wake up, because when you're in in the sleep state so deep, they cannot wake you up because it would cause brain damage. What they would do is they would wake you up in phases. So what they'll do is we having layering of the phases when we have to wake up. So they can't just knock you up. If you notice in Inception, it was like a layering effect. So they start here, blow it up, get you out of one, and then you'd be in another layer. Then break you out of that, something crazy, and then break you out of the layer. It's a layering effect. And I personally think that many of us know each other. That's why I think when they say soul families, or when they say your tribe family, I think many of us collaborate together. We feel comfortable with one another because in another world, we're actually in a mothership together. We actually have families together, so we know. So we have an unconscious knowing of each other, like almost like we know, I know you. Where do I know you from? It could be past lives, but if we take that a little deeper, what if we're sitting and lying somewhere with the awareness we're going to another planet or we're going to Earth? Maybe we're not even in Earth yet. Maybe we're going to the new version of Earth, and we're going through the layering effects of waking up. This is my concept right now. It may change in 2020. So, I'm okay to evolve my concepts or my perception of reality based on more wisdom gained through time and knowledge and expression. Okay? So I personally think that that's why it's happening. But right now, family, everything is collapsing. And you will have to uphold yourself in a way that grounds you. Stay very grounded, because as the floor collapses beneath our feet, we have to have a level of understanding that we can levitate. Listen to me again. As the floor collapses beneath your feet, if you take on the concept that you can levitate, it will affect you. For others, it is going to make them fall. And part of their awakening is going through the traumas necessary to wake them up. Some of us woke up with one alarm or no alarms. Some of you woke up and put the snooze on and said, listen, I don't want to get back up. I want to sleep. I'm going to put the snooze on at least 3 or 4 times. Some people have heard the alarm, didn't even put on the alarm, don't care if there's an alarm. They're fast asleep. And how they wake up will be totally dependent on the level of consciousness of soul or zest or spirit that has come on this earth, and what lessons in spirituality that they need to learn in order to get to higher fields of consciousness. Okay? That's just what it is. So if you're overstanding and understanding, family, that we are now, us as a collective, me, you, and everyone here, we are projecting our reality based on signs, symbols that we were we were taught, and it was imprinted as a blueprint for us to manifest the reality that we have accepted. But if you can take that in consideration, then you overstand. You also can understand that just like you can accept the programming, you can deprogram yourself. Okay? Deprogram, unravel what's already been raveled. So you have the yarn that's been raveled. You can unravel that yarn and put the colors you want in there. You don't have to accept all the red in the yarn. You can put a little blue in there. You can put a little green in there. You can rewire your concepts of what you deem to be reality. This is the beauty about The Secret, and what was bastardized with the whole concept of The Secret is because it's not a god-darn secret. It was what we were always capable of doing. They wanted to put mysticism. They wanted to make it seem like it was only for the special who could wake up. We do it every day. You manifest your reality every day. You ever have a bad day at the beginning? Ever have a bad day at the beginning and it's just like a tumbling over effect? Because your mindset has already accepted that you are having a bad day. So you will project in your reality more cataclysms, more trauma, more disappointments during the day, because you have already placed that in your hardwire. And basically you put it in your system, and your system will now project it into your reality. We aren't any longer going to be in this matrix. It will totally be collapsed. Listen to me, family. Accept it, or you will have trauma when it comes into the pole shift. The pole shift is basically clearing the planet, reset. Okay, 12 Years Enslaved. That movie was for those who chose and who didn't take the who didn't come to the dress rehearsal for the first 2012. Some people didn't come to the dress rehearsal because they were like, I don't want to come. What for? What? Some people tried a couple different dress rehearsals during that stage in the first 2012. Others have literally taken the time during the 7 years to clear and cleanse and do what's necessary to bring them to higher forms of consciousness so they can even have this discussion and even accept it. Okay? 2012 is right now. And I always know where someone is consciously. I ask for everyone who comes in the room, please put a like on the video as a common courtesy as you walk in the room. We have 604 people in the room. I'd appreciate it just as a general courtesy. But it's interesting because though we're in 2012 right now, I will look at someone and have a conversation. And this is something that this is where you'll see what someone is consciously. Have a conversation. And the interesting thing about it is you can tell where someone is cognitively and perceptionally, and also where they are in the level of the ascension process. Remember, family, not everyone's here for ascension. And I will say this, there have been, just like villains have been injected into the matrix programming, the neural architect we call the matrix, just like villains have been inserted, there have also been volunteers. Big up to Dolores Cannon, who talks about the volunteers. Just like that, there have been volunteers, many of you, many of us have volunteered to come into the madness of the matrix, to be the lanterns to wake people up, the sound horns. So just like there's for every villain, there's a sound horn, there's a lantern that is inserted to allow for assistance for those who need a little assistance in seeing the light. Because remember, if you have too many villains, and then villains like to infect others. Villains are like zombies. They get attached to one, they infect them, then they infect others. So villains like to infect the populace. Oh, thank you, Bon Bon, I appreciate it. Thank you, love. They like to infect the populace. But a lantern can illuminate a room. So as much darkness as they've tried with the dark Kabbalists, with child trafficking, with hurting women, hurting animals, deforesting, dirtying up the planet. What do you think for a moment, if this was really our planet, we would allow things to be burned and killed unless it wasn't your planet? So all these big corporations ran by the diabolical past patriarchy, because they aren't in home court advantage, if they were actually from this planet, do you think they would ever concede to having trees cleared that basically service to give us oxygen, clear off the planet? Then no, it wouldn't happen. You know why it happens? First of all, this is a hologram. Second of all, these beings aren't from here. They haven't any compassion. They are not invested in the planet because they're not from here. And as soon as the program's over, many of them will just be ejected out of it or deleted from the program. So there isn't anything for them to lose. So it's necessary for you to always keep your wit and your mind together. Mind is soul. Okay? Keep your mind together. Tall white sleeper. Oh, yeah, that's what Rudolph Germany talks about. The sleepers. Now, if you ever get a chance, be careful, because he has a lot of mind technology that goes on in watching his videos. I always say to be very gingerly when you're watching Rudolph of Germany, okay? But it's extremely, I know he is who he is. I know it's true. And I knew it based on the fact that he came at a time when I was experiencing a full event. It was tangible, it was real. And how it was and the fact that it was real, the fact that the date of the event, he confirmed he was there. Confirmed, okay? They are parasitic. Most ET groups are. Most of the groups that are interacting with humanity are parasitic. They are. Remember, we do have agreements and liaisons with other groups. So you have groups that have created, what do you consider, like treaties. We have groups that have basically fielded in what is it called, what is it called? Not treaties. It's not treaties. What's the other word for it? It's like a contract, but it's bigger than that. Oh goodness. He's called Rudolph of Germany, the tall white elf. No, it's not faction. It's you hear them say it all the time, like the what is it called? I forget what it's called. Okay, agreement. It's agreements, but it's like, yeah, it's bigger than that. Like there's groups that have these agreements, but they have a pact. It's like it's a alliance. Thank you, Amanda. Woo. Alliance. They have an alliance. They have an alliance, and they have basically worked together. And big up to Sensei. She reminded me. Yes, it's the the Andromedans are working along with the Lyrians, Assyrians, Arcturians are working together. You have groups of the Anunnaki, the Nega side, who also have a treaty with some of the tall whites. The tall white aliens are the ones who put Trump in there. Do you know that, right? And again, you should watch some of his videos because he talks about that, because I didn't believe him. At the time he said Trump was going to win. I said, really? Again, I don't believe. And first of all, the political system is a lie. There's only one umbrella. They may look like there's different sides. They're all the same. And I always tell people all the time, if anyone gets a chance to go to the Swiss Alps or any of these other places where many of the elite go, you will see people's children sleeping together who are supposedly enemies. So how would you have somebody who's supposedly an enemy, or an Arab that they consider to be Muslim enemy, but sleeping with, delegates who are American delegates' children, or, delegates from Europe? They're sleeping together. That's why I say it isn't true. That whole concept of, Democrat, Republican, that's all the programming. And if you are participating and even thinking that is true, they already have who's chosen. They have who's chosen. They choose. You aren't choosing. It's okay for you to think that you choose. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I always think to myself, if I know that I have a choice, and I always take my own choice and say I will take my choice and initiate it, I will do so. But just know that even when you vote, they have already chosen the vote for you, okay? So, and because I even had this conversation with one of the gentlemen that I was sitting with at Starbucks, and I was talking to him the other day. I was telling the girls, I said, he's the actual, when people get on me about Starbucks and so on, I said, I actually know the developer of the Starbucks sigil. You know that, right? FleurBrun actually sits with the person who created the Starbucks sigil. So when you think you talk smack to me like, Starbucks, it is Jimmy Ja. He created it based on that. I know the actual person who created it. I sit and have coffee with him. I know everybody. I know a lot of people. And he's amazing. He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. And it was created exactly for that reason. And he knows why he created it. He didn't know why, like what fuller meaning it would mean to the populace. But the initial was the story of the siren. So, and they have a coffee called the Siren now at Starbucks. And they hire sirens too. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So what was I saying? Okay, so we have the pole shift. Now, I personally think the pole shift is happening sooner than projected. We are in 2012, okay? We are in 2012. If you don't know now, you know. The actual 2012. The Mayan were true. We did the whole show on Thursday about the Hopi prophecy, the prophecy of the Mayan prophecy, how it all interrelates. I'm not going to go into that again. We know that we're in the collapsing of a timeline. You're also seeing the dreamy state of being able to see everything, but it looks foggy. It's about to get foggier, family. You're going to feel like you're not even awake. That's why I say I'm making this video, because when Rudolph made his video, what was it, like 2 days ago? What was Rudolph's video? I think it was 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago. I think so. 2 days ago. He touched on this, but it's deeper than what you really think. He touched on it, but I really don't know if anybody realizes to the degree that someone can go mad or crazy when their reality is totally non-congruent. When your reality is not solidified anymore, that's when people will lose their mind, and I need you to stay balanced. and the way that you eat, the way that you perceive things. Make sure because they know this, and the more that your mind doesn't have a congruent or like a solid foundation, they can do more inception. So be mindful of the narrative. We already know this, because it's like me preaching to the choir. You know, y'all already know this already. But you know that they're going to put Bird Box, exactly, Bird Box. Be mindful, the anxiety and the panic attacks are real. A lot of people are getting the heart palpitations at night. We talked about this a year ago, right? That's when it first started, like 2 years ago. I think we did the show, right? I think you guys remember. Yeah, we did the show when the heart palpitations started. And we're like, where is this coming from? And what happened, it started with that first March, not the event March, but like the year before. So everybody was hearing the flutter. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I getting that? Let's go to the doctor. I got checked out. Everything was all good in the hood, gratefully. But then I realized it wasn't just me. It was everybody was having especially females. And this is affecting us more, my wonderful sea stars, because we are birthing more children. So if you don't notice, there is a spike of pregnancies. Any woman with a womb will give birth to children, okay? Any woman with a womb right now has the potentiality, every child, and please don't be surprised, because I have one person, I can't say, because remember, I told you Nigeria had already, Philippines, wait, was it Philippines? Was it Philippines or was it, yeah, I think it was Philippines. No, I think it was Thailand. Sorry. Thailand, Philippines, you're rebuking me, Jasmine, don't rebuke me yet. Rebuke me when you're safe and clear. What was it? Thailand, Nigeria, and I think the other one was in India. I'm not sure where the other one is. It was two definitive ones who were giving birth through the process of parthenogenesis. They were tested, they hadn't had sex with any males, and they started to replicate. The babies that will be born will only be female from those women because they are going through the process of parthenogenesis. When you give birth through the process of parthenogenesis, the baby will be a replica of the mother. Cloning was stolen from the original woman. You know that, right? Cloning was stolen from what the original woman on this planet did naturally before the creation of males. Okay? Yes, it's online. You can see it. You guys can verify. Check out the women that have gone. Now, I know one woman. She's young. And I won't say too much. But I will tell you, family, you know how I vet things out? Women are starting to get pregnant without a mate. Men are going to be terrified. I told you the Kaaba was, you thought I was joking. I told you the Kaaba was going to change things. Remember, the Kaaba was a reminder of the divine feminine on this planet. Men who abuse the Kaaba and were disallowing the actual energy of the reverence that comes with divinity won't have an option to give birth. That's why they're stealing wombs, because they're scared. They won't be needed. See what I'm saying? All the divine males are fine. Your wands are working perfectly. You will be able to inseminate and create children. I'm talking about those diabolical males. Their wands aren't working. Males who, remember, this is the highest. Let me stop. I talked to urologists. I shouldn't make fun of this. But some of you are dastardly males sticking your wands and everything. I talked to a urologist. This is the highest amount of males that he's ever seen that are suffering from erectile dysfunction, ED. He hasn't seen it. He said it's spiked over the last 5 years. Now, and he said now Cialis and actually, what's the other one? Viagra aren't even working anymore. They aren't working. You know when you spray Raid and then it doesn't work because the bugs come back? That's what's happened because men were using it. He said there are boys that are in their 20s who aren't any longer able to have a natural erection. The Kaaba is changing. One young lady who I vetted out, I know it for a fact, is now going to give birth to a child that did not have a father. It has already begun. It has begun. The clearing. Because what has happened is that we change from a cycle to another cycle, but if, everyone was healthy and it was healthy male and a healthy balance between, because you don't want dominance of anything. Shouldn't be a male over a female or female over male. We need unity consciousness, a balance, a healthy balance. Women represent a certain level of, fertility and nurturing. Okay. And when she is when she's naturally in her state of being, she will give birth to healthy children and a healthy planet, and her children will grow into sons that are protective and daughters that are nurturing. Because of the chaotic state and because of the old patriarchy that was diabolical and incepted by extraterrestrials that weren't human, okay, now because of that, they're going to basically, I told you the Kaaba was going to basically euthanize the male that isn't natural. And the way that they can euthanize males without females is they will take out their ability to regenerate themselves, to replicate themselves. Okay, and that is also why, because I spoke to one of amazing spiritualists, that is why you see the spike of also males who only want the same sex. That's part of the cleanse. You know, people always talk about, oh, homosexual. Don't talk about anybody negatively, but there's a reason why males aren't wanting to mate with females. It's so that they're not able to produce children, because it's time for certain types of gene pools to be basically cut out of the equation. So if you see two males that are wanting to be together, leave them be. You don't judge them. That's part of nature also, and it's part of what they've done also as far as the causation of soy lectin and BPA and other, you know, chemicalizing of males. But it is to basically clear from having the starken energies of very diabolical, aggressive, misogynistic, anti-female males being on the planet. So I told you it was going to happen. Once a woman, see, this is what I warned our males before with my first video. See, they thought I was being a hater. I love males. I want y'all to stay. I want you healthy males to say, I love our healthy divine males. Our healthy divine males are amazing. But I told many men years ago, I gave you the warning when the Andromedans came. They said, if you don't get it together, you won't be allowed here. Once you start seeing women, even if it's one or two, start to replicate themselves through the process of parthenogenesis, that means it's a wrap for y'all. That means nature is going to take men out if they don't get it right. So it isn't any judgment. Yeah, it's just what it is. So I already told, because energy means everything. And, you know, there were a couple males who wrote me some interesting emails. Big up to all my males, my sun stars. They know who I'm talking about. And really, if you look at the quality of male that's being affected by the change, it's only the ones who are dark, the ones who are abusive to women, you know, men who have sex with animals and children, the men who are 50 years old having sex with 20-year-olds. These men shouldn't be on the planet because they're an abomination, okay? They're an abomination. Any man who's 50 and 60 having sex with women 20, 18, 16, 15, he is an abomination. He shouldn't be on the planet because he is a violator. That is unnatural. Any man who is having sex with children, that is an abomination. So when I talk about males, my sun stars know who I'm speaking of. They know it isn't them I'm speaking of. They know when I talk about the Kaaba getting rid of diabolical males, they know it isn't them unless they're having sex with children, animals, and abusing the nature. Okay? If they're respectful and loving of their mothers, most men want, healthy men want a change because their mothers have been victimized under the old stoic patriarchy. Their mothers, their sisters are being violated by males that are dark and unaware. Okay, their daughters will be subjected to lower field males. So that being said, most healthy males won't be affected by the things I share because they understand that they do want healthy. They do want a healthy cleanse to allow for protection or a healthy system to evolve on this planet. Okay, that's it. So if you come in the room, please put a like on the video as a comment courtesy. Oh, Rudolph of Germany, the tall white alien. I'm probably going to send mad people to this page. And I say this, it's a beautiful day in this planet, but because of the hologram basically breaking down, be careful, be very grounded. And now what I have to say to this is we have to start, I always tell you the things that are going to happen, but you know I am a remedy fanatic. I will remedy. I always tell you what can help because I'm one to say what's going on that needs to be addressed, but let's speak about what needs to also be remedied because there's ways we can remedy and make sure we're grounded. And also for those, big up to the OBGYN who I spoke to, what was it? I think 3 days ago. 3 days ago. This is the first time also I talked about men urologists saying men's wands are falling quickly at younger rates and massive rates, I will say this. There are more women post 40 and 50 giving birth to healthy children. Listen to me, family, to healthy children. That's how you know the planet is changing. Because women were always able to give birth from the time she was going through puberty into the time she was well into. There's places in Africa, in South America, where women give birth until animals give birth until they die. That's a lie. The only reason women are stopping is because you're being told that you're going to get menopause. You're being programmed with that in your mindset, and also generationally, they programmed all the women. So you accept it based on the other matriarchy in your life getting menopause. So you accept it based on being inserted. Healthy women in the Sahara give birth until 60 and 70. Healthy children without help from doctors or genetic specialists, because they're healthy. The only reason women don't is because they're giving you mammograms when you're 40 something, so they're radiating your breasts. Okay, they're also giving you a host of updated flu shots that will also cap the way that you're able to release eggs, or make your eggs release rapidly, because women are born with eggs for their entirety of their life. Why would you have an entire host of eggs that were never to be used? Because you only release one or maybe two a month. So why would you have all these eggs? This is why I'm saying the lies that they taught us is absolutely insane. You have a lifespan of eggs, but you're not supposed to have, but then they stop at 45 or 50? Really? So why in the Congo do you have women that are giving birth naturally who are 60 and 70 years old? Healthy women. Now, if you aren't healthy, your body naturally won't give birth, won't get pregnant. You won't get pregnant. So what is up with that? So I'm just saying, be mindful, because now you should only accept what you allow in your own mindset. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. Thank you, Carrie Henderson. Thank you, love. Yes. Also, metals and toxins. Okay. If I'm I'm excited. I get so hot when I'm sorry. I'm such a Sag. I get really hot and it's cool in here. I'm sorry. I get excited. I'm having my own personal, this is who I go to. Don is going to be on my show on Thursday. I'm actually having Don on my show. This is my personal homeopathic. This is who I go to for advice. He was going in on folic today, honeys. Oh, he was going on a folic. He said because we were discussing folates and folic. Where's my thing? I don't even have it here. They're telling women to take folic acid, which gives you a host of problems when you're pregnant. And it messes with your womb. It's folates you're supposed to take. And the enzyme that goes with it to allow to metabolism and absorb it. So many of you are being told to take folic acid. It is folates. F-O-L-A-T. This is the type of things they're doing to women. Your GYN is not telling you this, but if you ask them, they're like, oh yes. Why aren't you telling women they're not supposed to take folic? I know, phallic. Why are you telling them not to take folic acid and not folate? Yes, you should take folate. Folic has a host of, so I'm going to have Don go into it on Thursday's show. And be careful taking all these prenatal vitamins. A lot of them have things that are messing with the babies. All these prenatal vitamins they're telling you to take, I personally think they put things in a prenatal vitamin to cap the baby's consciousness. Also, they're having women taking shots during their pregnancy in Brazil. Every woman is required to take a shot during her pregnancy. Basically, to do something, and this is what I think, to the cell membrane of the brain, to cap them consciously. We have to be mindful. We are on the precipice of 2012. The pole shift is on and popping. This is a beautiful time on the planet if you are prepared. It's a beautiful time. And someone said, oh, do I need to? Being prepared is just being aware and awake. That's all it is. Being prepared and awake is just being heightened in awareness. Only listen. You may listen to me. Don't take everything I say. You go and vet it out. I tell this to my little girls. I tell it to you. I could be all kinds of cocoa puffs on here. Oh, thank you, Kay, the creator. I appreciate it, Mama. Thank you. Oh, Sunstar. Thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you don't ever listen to any one person. There are many versions of truth. You may take and listen to what I say, but go vet it out. Vet it out. See what I tell you about the women giving birth through the parthenogenesis, because there was some man who said online that I was lying, saying there was no such thing as parthenogenesis. You're talking to somebody who read books before many of you even knew books like these existed. I sat in the New York Library as a 13-year-old girl when my dad was working on Wall Street, and sat in there and went through microfiche to look up books, because that's how we had to search for books, through microfiche, to find specific books that no one even knows about to this day. I know when I look up things and I vetted it out from a little girl, and I'm a grown woman now, I'm so grateful that my dad and my mom were so understanding, and my mother was a teacher and my daddy loved me, that they allowed me to do things or see things in a perspective that most parents would shut their children on believing or knowing or accepting. Listen, right now on this planet, it is going to be I'm excited and I'm grateful to be here. I will always value the body and temple that I have been given to experience this amazing time with all of you. There won't ever be a time you will ever see me take that for granted, because I have friends who did not make it. Many of you know the YouTuber that me and him were in love. He's the reason why you see FleurBrun on YouTube. And just today, 7 years ago, he was talking about how he was in love with me. This was my best friend, lost his life. He was one of the biggest YouTubers at the time. I didn't even know what YouTube was really, because I was with babies. And he isn't here. And I remember having the conversation about awareness and consciousness, where we'd see each other in the future, if we'd ever see each other later, and he isn't here to share it. So I value my life. I value me being here, and there are plenty of our friends and family who didn't have the opportunity to hold their bodies for this amazing, spectacular event that each one of us is going to experience. It's amazing. Oh, Warren, well, no, I don't want to say it now. Some of you know. If you're on my Facebook, you already know. Yeah, because I posted his little thing today. He's a beautiful man, beautiful guy. Just, that was one of my best friends. Yeah, enjoy life. So you won't ever hear, okay, let me give you the remedies now. Okay, so we talked about what's going on. So how do we navigate ourselves through the awakening process? Let's do this together. This is something, if you're in the room, we've got 629 people in the room, please put a like in the video as a common courtesy, please. I appreciate it. And I was going to say Starbucks allows me to be here, because when you do, YouTube leaves me alone just for another episode. They have treated me a little better. Sometimes they kick me off or they'll do weird things, but they've been better since I've been getting more likes. I think it's just because when you notice me or you like me, it's harder for them to do cruel things to me. It's almost like illuminating a person so that others know if they're messing with someone. It's kind of like that. I feel like it's working. So, okay, so let's get into the help. So today, many of you know, I always share the things I do. I'm not a hoarder of information. That isn't my personality, because I'm a little more seasoned. If I was younger, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have been the same way. I'm okay to share my journey and to share things that I think are beneficial to you. So because we are, for the conference, let me say this again. For anyone who's booking for the conference, remember, October 1st, I would like you to book by October 1st. The latest I'll let you do is October the 15th. That's the absolute latest. There's only 1 or 2 people, unless you call me personally and say, listen, I'm definitely going to come, because I have to do everything. Remember, FleurBrun's having a FleurBrun Experiencer Conference in the Bayou on the 31st, so everyone's excited. We got our family flying out from Europe and from Canada and from New York, from Cali, so it's amazing. So if you're doing the conference, make sure you book by October 1st, please. It gives me more time. 15th, I'll take it until, because I like to have everything personal, and if you saw my house with boxes right now, you would think I went bonkers. I take these things seriously, and I do it myself. Remember, I hadn't ever gotten an invitation to one UFO at ET conference. I've been a contactee for a long time. Everybody knows me, and I said I won't beg for anyone to invite me. I will create my own conference. So I've done this. This will be the 2nd year. Last year it was amazing. I thank everyone for being really supportive, and again, I do it myself, and I have amazing family who come. So if you're booking for the conference, so on, I will have On my Patreon, you will be allowed to see some of the conference and the masquerade. The masquerade will be on the 31st, which is amazing. So that's where you see all the boxes in my house. I'm getting ready for the masquerade in the Bayou on the 31st on New Orleans. It's going to be, I'm excited. It's on a Bayou because that's what we voted for. So, what was I going to say? So I have boxes all over the house for that. So if you're going to book so on, but I will have on Patreon for you to view the masquerade and part of the conference on my Patreon. So that tier will come on. So you can start booking the tier from October this 1st or the 2nd when I put the tier in. So if you're not able to come, I will have the tier available for you guys to see it on my Patreon. Okay, so I didn't do that last year. I'll let you guys do it this year because some mommies can't come this year, but you'll be able to do that. So, but if you're coming to the New Orleans, if you're in New Orleans, come to the conference. It's beautiful. And again, all of the proceeds go to FleurBrun Sanctuary, which is going to be up and running, up and going hopefully within the next year or two. Okay, so that's the other announcement. Thursday show, I have Dawn, who's my personal homeopathic person that I go to, who will be giving you gems on Thursday. That's going to be on our Thursday Aquarius Rising 9th Gate. That will also be on Aquarius. That will also be on Patreon. That's not going to be on main YouTube because I think that's just, I want to designate it to that. So anyone who books their conference, you also get to see that. So you also get to see the other things I do on Patreon. So you just get a bonus of seeing other things on Patreon that you normally wouldn't get to see on there. So if you join on there, you get to see that as well. What else? Okay, so let's get into the remedies, okay? I make announcements. I'm not a fan. Okay, so let me drink some water. Let's talk about how we're going to make it through the shift, okay? Chile had an earthquake. Many of you know Puerto Rico had their earthquake on last week. Chile had its earthquake 6.8 2 days ago. So Chile had an earthquake. The planet's rocking and rolling. So we have to keep balance, and that's also why I had shown on IG, if you don't get a chance on IG, I showed some of the things and remedies I'm going to do to keep grounded and level-minded during this shift, okay? Because I want to keep balanced, and our body, mind, and spirit have to be really basically in sync, okay? So I did the fish. I wanted to do the fish pedicure for a while, but I really went in for the ionic cleanse. So I did an ionic cleanse, which was amazing. I did the fish, it was just because they did the same thing. So I wanted to do the fish pedicure. It was really cute. These fish do not have teeth. It isn't unhygienic. The gentleman who I walked in, he was phenomenal. It was great. He was cleaning the things, and they basically helped for circulation. A lot of times our feet, because of the shift, we're feeling imbalanced, and feet represent Pisces, which now we're going out of Pisces into Aquarius. So it makes sense that Pisces, so French, right? I'm getting accents since we collapsed. Pisces, because it is our previous age that we're leaving, Pisces represents feet. Feet represent balance and how we are able to, and our stability, in our grounding. So whenever we're shifting and things are moving on a planet, especially with the pole shift looming, the feet have been hurting. We discussed this before. A lot of people's feet and knees have been really hurting. So what we need to do is keep balance and also keep our feet in detoxing. So what I did today was wonderful fish manicure, which I suggest. It was so amazing. Such an interesting experience. It was a little weird at first. I showed it on Instagram, so you can just take a look at it. But they did a ionic cleanse. This is the second time I've done this. The first time I did it is when I had my first daughter. And I did an ionic cleanse because when I was nursing all the time, I was always lethargic and tired. And I wasn't really, I felt like I was hampered. When I did the ionic cleanse after my first daughter, my liver, everything was, I felt amazing to the point where I hadn't had to do it again. I decided to do it again because the conference is coming. I wanted to do something. So the ionic cleanse, I suggest, it actually pulls metals. And as clean as FleurBrun is, there was metals coming out of my feet. And I had sparkles on my arm. That's what lets you know that we still have from the chemtrail. So if you ever decide to do it, always do some reflexology, massages on the feet, do soaks, okay? So I went and got this today, which I love. Many of you have grannies. Do you guys have the grannies? All you old-fashioned people, the grannies used to use this. So this is the magnesium. They should have me sponsor these things because I love some of these companies. Pure magnesium, this is wonderful. So for a lot of you who are dealing with a lot of stressors, hampered endocrine system, having issues with like skin issues. Taking magnesium is wonderful internally, but taking a magnesium bath is life. If you do this, you will basically regenerate a lot of you and supercharges you. Yes, it's phenomenal, right? Rowan says the thing, this is wonderful. So I always suggest, because we're going through grounding, we're going to make sure we keep really balanced, and we want to keep our temples really clean and filtered out. Take a magnesium bath. So you could take this whole thing and yes, it subsides anxiety. It's wonderful for relaxation. It's an it's a multi-faceted supplement. But you're taking a bath in this, and again, you can take it when pregnant. I would just do the feet. I wouldn't do anything else. Do it on the feet and wait post-pregnancy, okay? Because magnesium may have an effect on the baby. So I would just do your feet. You can definitely do it on your feet, mama, pregnant, okay? So you can use this. It's wonderful to take a bath. As we know, because of the pole shift, we have to make sure we're oxidizing. Now, many of you noticed for the past couple weeks, I triple filter my water at home. So I have a triple water filter. I think I've given you all the filter company that I've used. I hope he's happy that I'm sending you guys to him. I've used them for years. I have a triple water filter. It gets rid of chlorine, it gets rid of sediments, and it gets rid of fluoride. It's wonderful. I've used it for years. When I got pregnant with my first, this is over 12 years ago, okay? It's wonderful, and I magnetize my own water. Many of you know I super magnetize my water, which helps also to get rid of more metal sediments, okay? This is oxygen water. Many of you at the conference big up to those who came to the conference last year. I had this for you guys to get at the conference, remember? Oxygen water, remember when I came back from Brazil? I was having such issues with my feet. The oxygen water was amazing. We need our system to be more oxidized to allow to balance out the craziness and the bombarding of a magnetic field that is now collapsing, okay? The filter company that I use, hold on, it is Pure Earth Technologies. Pure Earth Technologies. I'll post it. I'll take a picture of the thingamajiggy on my Instagram. I think I had it before, but I'll repost the picture. It's Pure Earth Technologies. When I first got the system, I loved it, and I remember at the time my husband got the whole system on the house. Yeah, Pure Earth. Thank you, Serious Poems. Pure Earth Technologies. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so you want to make sure you really. What time is it? Oh my God, it's already 3. Hold on, it's already 3:30. You guys will let me talk forever. You won't tell me that I'm talking for like almost 2 hours. I think it was an hour. Okay, so, and for the little people, because you know I'm a mommy, and I always say what I do for me, I do for my little people. For the little ones, I definitely think that the little ones aren't getting enough magnesium. For some reason, whenever we're going through a pole shift, magnesium is pulled the most. It's the one thing that you won't get as much. Potassium, magnesium seems to be what's most hampered in everyone's system. So for the little ones, they do have magnesium, a little magnesium. Make sure it's whole food value. I'm going to talk about this with Dawn on Thursday. We'll talk about what's good for the babies, what's good for the little people. Make sure you're not overdosing them, because giving them, Flintstone vitamins, like my mother did when I was little, I'm fine, but, Flintstone vitamins isn't efficient, and you want to make sure you're not messing with their endocrine system. So on Thursday, we'll get into what's best for the little ones and what foods are best. As you know, avocado is great in potassium and magnesium. I was craving, remember my last fast, I was craving breadfruit, which is a Caribbean fruit for us, and it has a lot of magnesium. We're going to be hampered with magnesium because of the collapse. I want to make sure that you make sure you're balancing out your meals. Okay, we don't want to do too much greens because of the crystals on top of the greens, but you want to make sure you wash your greens. Okay, make sure you wash any of the greens, any of the leafy things, because of the oxalates. We talked about the oxalates and how having too much crystal oxalates, because you're not eating meat. A lot of you aren't eating meat anymore, so normally the meat would kind of neutralize the oxalates. But because you're just eating a lot of greens, you got to be careful. You're getting too many crystal oxalates, and it can cause a lot of other host of problems, okay? So make sure you're doing that. We got magnesium. Also, taking all phones. We talked about this already. Hold on. Did I? Oh, it's already charged. You know I have this handy dandy. I think you've all seen me use this before. This is FleurBrun's about this life. This is my EMF tester. I'm going to show you. Okay, my EMF tester. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to show you the importance, because a lot of mommies and daddies and aunties and everyone, this is important for you to notice for yourself. So I have this around the house. I test everything to make sure I'm not getting super radiated. So as you see on my laptop, my iPad, I'm not getting any radiation. You see on my phone, I'm going to show you. Hold on. My phone, there's no EMF, okay? But check this out. This is going to freak you out. Look. Okay. Even through my china cabinet, listen to me, family, even through my china cabinet, the walls have a lot of wires and the EMF is off the chain. If you would have seen the numbers, hold on. The numbers are spiking to 63, it goes high, okay? You gotta be careful putting babies' beds or your beds near walls where there's a lot of outlets. Also with cell phones, I tell you all the time, do not put your cell phone plugged in. Remember I showed you, I cleared my phone. Listen, I cleared my phone. Is there anything? You're gonna see the numbers being the same. You see nothing. You see a little bit? Oh, you see a little bit, okay. I'm getting a little bit. Okay, you know why I don't get anything on the phone is because I got a diode. Okay, the diode helps to mute some of that. Now, I'm gonna show you something, and this is what I want mothers to pay attention to, especially mothers who are pregnant or fathers, making sure you're not putting phones on your testicles and your penises and your wands, because your wands are masterful. You wanna make sure your wand, look what happens when I plug in my phone. Remember I just tested it for you? Look what happens when I plug it in. Look what happens to my phone. Look at the radiation in my phone. Look at the EMF on my phone from plugging it in. This is from plugging in the phone. When I take this out, look what happens. It goes down. Do not plug in your phone near your babies. Don't sit on your phone when they're plugged in, because the radiation is off the chain. Do not put the babies, you know how the little ones like to sit and have the plug in? The radiation spikes. This goes to nearly 100. And that is going into your child or yourself. You men at work with the laptops in the business offices, a lot of times I see men putting the laptops on their lap. A lot of reasons why the magic wands aren't working and magical anymore is because you're putting laptops on your lap around your wands, and you're radiating it and you're getting all that EMF. Be mindful. So I want you to get this. I got this from Wish. I got this from Wish, like, I don't know, $100 or I think $150 or $100 or something like that. I got this from this. You can look at it. Get one of these to test the walls. I want you to test. Now look again. Look. Look at that. Just from my cabinet. Now my cabinet, my china cabinet is away from the wall. Look how many radiation came just through the cabinet itself. Okay? So these are things to keep you proactive. Just test around your house to make sure that you're not having your bed against walls that have a lot of heightened radiation. It's very important. The diodes, you look on my Instagram, I already gave the site, I think Energy Polar, you guys always put it down. Energy Polar, I think let the Cypher's on here. Cypher usually puts it up. Energy Polar is where I got my diode. Remember, Dr. Delba Blair was the one who put me onto diodes over 13 years ago. Listen to me, family. Over 13 years ago, it was Dr. Delba Blair who put me onto diodes. I didn't realize it, so I have it on all the children's phones or any electronics. There isn't any. Now, selenite is something I keep next to, it's dirty because I had it buried in the yard and I just found it. Selenite is an awesome muter. So when I have things next to selenite, it usually could keep it at 0. Oh, maybe not. Okay. It'll usually keep it low. Why is it going high? Why is it doing that? Hold on. Okay. Energy Polar. Okay, so what else? Eating prunes. Now, okay, you guys made jokes about me eating prunes on one show. Remember that show I was eating prunes before my fast? You guys had jokes for days. You guys had jokes, but prunes also helps to purge, neutralize radiation. Okay, so prunes, be careful with prunes. There's dual to everything. Too many prunes has oxalates. You want to be careful not having too many oxalates because you get a host of other problems. But eating prunes, it does allow to mute radiation. Okay, so that's very important. During the time as we go through the collapse, you're going to have to stay balanced. You need more oxygen in your water. You guys can oxidize it. People are saying, well, what does it matter? Why do you think that you have a fish tank? Do you have bubbles going into your fish machine? Why do you think you have bubbles going into your fish machine? Because you're oxidizing. I'm sorry. Stuff. You know when you wear this is the thing. I don't even like wearing lip gloss, and it dries out your lips, but I can put on some castor oil. My lips stay soft all the time. I'm going to stop using things like this. It's actually not specific. Spirulina is also wonderful. Also, look at my lunch. So I went out this after, so I got seaweed, okay? So look at the seaweed. I get tons of seaweed, and like I had macadamia nuts, seaweed, mangoes, other things like that. Seaweed is phenomenal for muting radiation, okay? The sad thing about seaweed is it messes with you too, because seaweed, it depends on where it comes from, but seaweed for me has always done an amazing job at just filtering out your system. Also for thyroid, it's really good for your thyroid, for making sure you clear out your thyroid. What's going to happen during the pole shift as far as our body's concerned? I've talked about it's going to get, okay, listen, babies don't mind this conversation because I'm a mommy. So this is not a non-conversation. You have to put the babies out. But if your babies are not used to mothers talking about the bosoms, then put the babies out of the room. I don't want them to, because I'm about to talk about my bosoms, because I'm talking to our sea stars. So if the little ones are not adjusted to other mommies, you know, usually our little ones are used to the mommies talk about the bosoms. So if it's, you know, if it's something your baby's not used to, you could put them out of the room because it's not appropriate for them then. But one thing I'll show you, I'm French. You listen, I get away with this. So this is my brassiere. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. This is my brassiere, but this material is an EMF. I know I'm giving so much information. This is an EMF material that I bought online. It doesn't have any wires in it. It's thicker straps, even though it still hurts because my bosoms are bigger. Because when I gain weight, my bosoms get big. But this right here, I keep a EMF bra on, and also under here, I don't have any wire. It still bothers me, like I don't want it, because most of us know, especially if you're busty, I don't like wearing bras because it's very uncomfortable just trying to, you know, put them and so on. But for all those people who say that the wireless bras don't, this is a wireless bra. It keeps everything perfect, right? It keeps everything fine. And, you know, some people are saying, well, it doesn't give me the lift. It does. This is actually fine. I want to show you because a lot of you may have misnomers of wireless bras. This is EMF material, so it disallows for radiation. It keeps them fine. They're nicely positioned. So for those who are worried about getting wireless bras, feeling like you're not going to get enough lift or you know, roundness to them, they're fine. You take the wires out. I remember back in the days, I just took the wires out. Yeah, I don't like bras. I don't think any of us like bras. Bras are abusive to the bosoms. I really do. Show us under the bra. Well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be inappropriate because I'm busty. If I was a smaller, I could do that with you. If I wasn't so busty, I would. But I can't show you that because I will get phone calls from my mate. He already said my bosoms are all over YouTube. So if I show you that, he's going to have issues. And then every man on YouTube is going to contact me in the inbox talking about when we going to hang out. So I just wanted to show you that there's practical bras. I just want to say that. Sports bras. But for some who want a sexy, like they feel like they want a cute little sexy bra, they make them. And they actually make them with material that is anti-radiation. Okay? So I want to just yeah, they do suck. I know all my sea stars are like, all of us women know that bras are not our friends. It's like It's like something that's unfortunately, hopefully post pole shift, it won't be a necessity. Because I love, you know what I love living in Florida and one in Brazil? I love wearing the beautiful saranjas. They're so cute when you wear the saranjas, especially in warm weather because we're warm here. I love wearing the saranjas, and you can just put them around and tie them around your neck. I love wearing that, or just tying them around here and just letting your bosoms go. And remember, by wearing bras, we make our breasts hang, because when you don't have bras on, our muscles actually work better. So I don't encourage, if you have young mothers who have daughters, this is what I encourage, just as another mother, is my advice. If you have daughters, don't suggest they wear bras, because you want them to have, you want the muscles to stay strong. And if we keep, you know, disallowing for the muscles to work, then they end up being, you know, a little saggy and so on, you know? So, you know, bras are devils. You ordered yours from, good. This is just something, you know, I always say that for everyone. And for fathers and husbands, because we have a lot of fathers and husbands on here, boyfriends. For husbands and boyfriends, because we have a lot of sun stars on here who love their mothers, their wives, and their girlfriends and their sisters and their nieces. For you gentlemen, you know, don't feel embarrassed, or you should, you know, get your mom one, because sometimes the old school moms won't listen. You as her son, if you wanted to have healthy breast health, go buy your, I know she might think it's really weird, go buy your mom, or send your mom to the site and say, Mommy, I really love you. Would you go and, you know, check out the site, and just tell her, you know, you've heard of other women saying the benefits. So just help them out so that maybe they don't know. And hearing it from you as a brother, a father, a boyfriend, a husband, it's really nice. Okay, so you can do that. So don't feel like you don't have a choice in this too. You can help, because we love and respect our husbands and our boyfriends and our brothers. We do. So they'll take that really well from you. Okay, so I think I already told you guys what I did last fast. And I'm not going to stay in too much longer because I have to go. My last fast, what I threw, I know, some people thought I was a little batty. I got rid of some of, all of my, not all, I kept some in the cabinet. I got rid of 90% of all my metal cooking ware. This is also, well, I will say, they're putting a lot of metals in us, family. Be very careful, and be careful wearing magnets when you're outside. Listen to me again. Be careful putting magnets on your body when you're walking outside under chemtrails, because you're pulling the metals on you. Okay, it's already falling on you, but you're pulling them. If you want to wear magnets, wear it in the house, not outside. Okay. Make sure the no bra movement, I'm down. Bamboo utensils, you remember I did bamboo utensils, and I only cook with glass or clay. This is part of what I learned during my fast when I did the nano fast and the water fast. I only bought, I wasn't cooking or eating at the time, but I only bought glassware. So I am only cooking with glass, and I only cook with clay, natural clay, like people in Central and South America and Africa, and also in Europe. Russian women do this as well. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, love. In Eastern Europe, a lot of our Russian women, or Bulgarian women, or Turkish women use clay to cook as well. You have to start to take away the metals. You don't realize it. If you ever taste water that comes from water from a metal container and water from a glass container, you can taste the metal. That means there's leaching. We don't need any more metals in our body that are perpetually causing more hampering and also making us susceptible to mind issues, because as the magnetic field falls, we're going to become more batty if we have too many free radicals in our bodies. Okay, so especially for those mothers who have children who are autistic, as a form of chelation, I always suggest to you to take all metals and cooking utensils out of your child's life and start to use clays and other things, along with using bamboo. I use bamboo charcoal water in order to pull and kind of detox. So this is also a suggestion for those mothers who want to do a form of chelation for their children who have forms of autism or other neurological things going on based on maybe being chemicalized by pharmaceuticals, or you know, or vaccinations. Okay, so this is my suggestion. As another thing is only cooking with non-metal. Oh, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it, Karen. Lindra, thank you so much, love. I appreciate it. So just be mindful that plastic isn't something you should ever use. Even with this, I don't ever take, like, this isn't good to have anyway, even though it's BPA free. I always have usually glass, but when I walk around with stuff like this, I always have my oxygen water just because I buy this from a store. But any other time, you always see me with glass. Only use glass. I don't, there isn't any metal. All those metal containers, those aluminums, I won't use. Okay? Also, cooking with aluminum foil and aluminum. Remember, we have aluminum falling from the sky. You got aluminum in your pesticides. You have aluminum everywhere. Say no to aluminum. Say zero to aluminum. Aluminum is a atrophy of your brain. It also calcifies your pineal gland. So the more aluminum you cook with, you're leaching that in your food. Now, I can't say when you go catering and so on, like even for the conference, I have to try to find and get around aluminum because a lot of the times with people, when they cater for you, they'll do aluminum. I like glass. So I'm going to try to work around and see if I can get someone who caters to my glass fancy, okay? Mercury in the teeth, make sure you try to pull that up if possible, okay? Aluminum, I use glass trays. I mean, you can buy the most beautiful, remember, many of you watched me go through this bonanzas. I just bought the most amazing glassware online. Make sure you stay away from colors because, again, I'm not a fan of anything that has bleach colors. Dark brown is fine. Just be mindful. Sleeping in the room with phones. Your babies should not be falling asleep with their phones in the room. Your husband should not be having his cell phone on his pocket, on his wand. So all our wives, we know what it's like to be wives. I was married for almost 20 years. Make sure he may not be proactive, but you can be proactive. Make sure he isn't putting his wand near the phone in his pocket. Women, stop putting your phone in your breast. You don't want to put radiation on your breast. We already have a plethora of other things. Keep these off of your body, okay? Try not to hold it. You know, I saw the crazy lady who had the rubber gloves. Was she really crazy or was she proactive? Okay, keep these out of your back pocket. Copper pans, I remember I'm a little biased with copper, so I will say this. Ceramic is fine. I personally, because I didn't realize that FleurBrun had a lot of copper in her blood, and remember everybody was going through a copper phase, copper bracelets, copperware. I actually got copper poisoning because my bloodstream had too much copper in it. So I stay away from copper. Thank you so much, Trish. I appreciate it. I love you too, Mama. That's one of our cipher. We got a cipher in the house. Thank you, Mystic. I appreciate it. Thank you, love. I appreciate it. So copper, be careful. I say cook with it once in a while because copperware is really expensive. And I think if you cook with it every once in a while, it's okay. But I personally got poisoned by copper and I wasn't doing anything but putting it on as a bracelet. Okay? And remember they had colloidal copper because copper was a big thing. Some people have more copper in their system than others. I didn't think so because there were people on YouTube that were saying, oh, melanated people don't have copper. It was lunar people who had a lot of copper. That isn't true. Complexion does not denote how much of a metal that you have naturally in your system. Okay? So personally, I stay free of copper. I have enough in my bloodstream, probably from putting so much copper on me before. Be careful. Copper also causes heart palpitations and it also causes brain fog. So if you're experiencing a lot of brain fog and heart palpitations, that could be the copper leaching into you. Okay? Be mindful. A lot of people wearing copper bracelets and so on. It isn't good to wear that much metal. That's why you don't see me wear metal that much. Okay? What was the other thing? I think did we touch all bases? Swimming in the ocean. Okay? Why do you think they're moving us away from the ocean? Right? They move us away from the ocean. There's a reason why they don't want you swimming in the ocean. You know, everybody wants to take salt baths. What is the number one reason why we take salt baths? You know why we take salt baths? Because we need to be swimming in the ocean. How do you clear yourself? Someone said, how do you get a spell off of you? Swim in the ocean. FleurBrun, how do you clear yourself from toxins? Swimming in the ocean. Why do you think they were damming the oceans? Okay? The oceans. So be careful of being fearful of the ocean. It's beautiful for you to, if you live close to the ocean, and I always collect sea sand, whatever country I go to, and what I do is I collect the sea sand, which is higher in vibration, has a lot of ionic kind of pulling effects. I pour that in my bath. So I put sand from the beach in my bath. So I steal, someone says stealing sand from the beach. I kindly borrow sand from the beach. I live in Florida. I borrow sand from the beach and I place it in my bathtub. And that's a lot of times how I do my own clearing. I don't use a lot of the other sea salts. If I can use, you know, everyone's like, can I use sea salt? Yeah, but you can use sand. Sand is the bootleg is the sea salt. The heirloom is the sand. That's all it is. Okay? So you have a lot of sands. Burying yourself in the sand. If you have a baby, you know, in my culture, if you have a baby that's very sick, burying them in the sand to get rid of congestion. So in the island in St. Lucia, some of the mothers will take the babies and put them in the sand and bury them for 15 to 20 minutes. That will help to get rid of the congestion out of the chest. Okay? Sand between your toes. What is another thing? Oh, okay. So someone was asking about the different soaps and so on. So you got to be careful because I noticed whenever you see them doing something, we have to be careful whenever they're promoting something. So I told you I was using charcoal and it was bothering me. Remember I said I was breaking out? And then I realized it wasn't all charcoal. The coconut oil for me had an aversion, which it never did 6 to 7 years ago. So I have an aversion to coconut oil, which came out of the blue. Thank you, El Doggy. Thank you. Ooh, they put, we just discussed it on the show and you put a 444, you knew what to do. Woo! Fire in the yard. Anybody who was on Thursday's show knows about the little signs, the signs. Thank you. I appreciate that. You basically, you know, catalyst, moving us up. So make sure you be careful with coconuts because I was allergic, I didn't know, to coconuts, which is odd because I'm an island girl. So coconut oil and everything was hurting my stomach and it was burning my skin. So I realized all those times I was using the charcoal that was made with coconuts was agitating me, but the charcoal that was made from bamboo wasn't bothering me. So not all charcoal is the same. Be careful with charcoal because they're putting it out there. Also, we've got to be careful of the black, dark, sentient goo. I talked about tattoos because I know that they're putting sentient goo, black goo, inside of things that are black, tarish. Be careful. I think them promoting all this black goo could mean they're trying to infiltrate. And big up to the person who sent the video from Buffalo, New York. We still haven't vetted out the video. Hold on, family. Let me just make sure. Hold on. Get a call. Hold on. Ooh, wait. Sorry, family. Hold on. Okay. Okay. What was I saying? What was I talking about? Sentient goo. Just be mindful. They're promoting a lot of this dark stuff like the masks and so on. I don't know what it is, but I know I know that clay, bentonite clay, and also, okay, I don't know what it did. Bentonite clay and what's the Mother's Earth clay is really, really good. So if you want to make sure that you feel like you've been detoxed, many of you saw me on IG do the whole clay body. I clay myself. Like, you know what they called, you know, indigenous people heathens? Remember back in the days, they came and saw all these indigenous people with like clay on their bodies? Clay detoxes. So I do, even for my babies, I clay them. Speaking of that, I'm going to clay them this weekend. I use clay all over from the rooter to the tutor. Many of you saw me on IG do it. I do from hair down to the fufun. We call fufun yoni. Not inside, but inside the lips, inside the bum, all the way down to the feet. I clay from the rooter to the tutor. Oh, that's what I was talking about, buffalo. Sometimes I get thrown off topic. So clay yourself. If you don't know that you're safe, clay. And I love the ionic cleanse, the pull of the feet, to do a cleanse of pulling metals. These are ways that we keep balance. You want to just keep balance with your body because you know that the planet is shifting, and also the more clarity you have, the more you'll be safe. Because someone said, how do I know where to go when I'm safe? You won't have to. You will already know based on being clear. Once you have clarity, remember we talked about being on top of the building, seeing from all angles, you'll be in a safe zone. You will, but based on being just clear.
So worry little about everything outside of yourself. Clear yourself and balance yourself. Then you'll be exactly in point. You'll know when an earthquake's coming. You'll know when a storm's coming. You'll feel it because you'll be so clear and cleansed and balanced. Okay. So, the event that happens in Buffalo, big up to, listen, I can't vet this event out. I don't know if body snatchers, I know they body snatch. I don't know if this wasn't, what I will say is this wasn't a film that was being filmed, film crew. There wasn't a film crew on site, and there wasn't any schedule of anything weird happening in that particular area. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, it was the video of people standing like there was body snatchers just standing still. Old people, young people standing in the middle of a field. Woman's driving. She says, oh, snap. She's looking. Nobody's moving. They're still. They look zombified. They're not moving. She just drove. She didn't know what was going on. There was no film crew. We found out there wasn't any film crew. So let me just say, family, if that actual documentation of that woman driving with those people doing that, that means you need to stay on point. Because if they're body snatching like a whole town like that, I don't know if it's true. I can't say because they just said there wasn't any film crew. We can't verify. Nobody's saying it's a lie either. Nobody's going against it. So I'm just saying we don't know what that is. Be mindful. That's what I'm saying. If you have friends that like to get high all the time, I would distance yourself. If you know people that can't not drink, distance yourself. Because if people are being hijacked like that, to that degree, you want to, Bird Box. You want to make sure that you keep a healthy distance from people that could even be susceptible, because they're all forms of susceptibility. Like, and just be mindful. There's fanatics like you have Tila Tequila. She just went on a rant today. Tila Tequila was a whistleblower. So they hijacked her. So now she's acting fanatical, and she's online acting fanatical. They took her over years ago after she was blowing whistles. Be mindful, stay balanced, keep the baby safe, okay? If you don't know, if you are unaware of what it is to keep safe, put things on your house to keep, and make sure you take them, like most of you already know this, take the welcome mats off of your house. We talked about this years ago. We have new subscribers. Most of us already know this because we've been part of each other for a while. Welcome mats, welcomes. If the only way a vampire can come in your house is if you put a welcome mat. Make sure you aren't putting welcome mats on your door, okay? Make sure you keep things outside of your house. If you aren't comfortable with your husband's friends coming in your house, you're going to have to tell him he needs to keep them outside the house. Because infection, if that is happening to that degree of body snatching, you don't know what kind of infection will come from people being around you and your babies, okay? Keep people out of your house. If you see them, if you want to hang out with them, hang outside your house. I'm a firm believer, maybe I'm just a mama bear. I'm a firm believer that your home is your safe haven. This is my burrow. You know what I mean? I keep my cubs here. Anywhere I keep my cubs, anywhere I keep my cubs, there aren't people around. You won't see animals or any other being, any type of protective, nurturing mother who will allow beings around her cubs, okay? Keep your cubs close, because there's a lot of infiltrators out here, and if they smile, they may slither. Listen to what I say. Sometimes a smile is a slither. And for my wonderful mothers who are dating, keep these males and females away from your children, okay? There isn't any reason you should, and this isn't a judgment. This is just a safety bit of advice. Listen. It's better you be a little fanatical as a mother, I prefer, they say I'm a little overprotective of a mother, than there wasn't any protection at all. That's how I feel. It's better to keep people at bay and to be like, oh, you know how she is. But the first thing they'll say is FleurBrun is no joke. FleurBrun doesn't let anyone around. Because at least my girls will grow up with a healthy sense of self, and that's what I'm grateful for, based on the fact that I make sure I protect at least their home base. Because we're out in the matrix, we just gotta basically give them the tools to protect themselves and know, what's good and righteous, and as far as consciousness. But your house should be a safe haven. Because Buffalo, New York, I don't know what y'all got in the water in Buffalo. But when I saw those people standing on that field, I was like, oh snap, body snatchers on fleek. Body snatchers on fleek. Who are those people?
How come we haven't had a debunk video yet? Normally we have 50 million people on here saying, oh, FleurBrun, that's not true. Yeah, normally, where's the debunk video? Anyway, all right, family. I think I stayed on topic today. Pole shift is on and popping. The neural architect is collapsing. If there's a movie you want to see, I'm gonna finish watching. What was the movie again? One of our sea stars. Island. Oh, if you want to know what I'm talking about, if you don't believe this is a hologram, watch Island. I didn't even watch the whole thing yet. Watch Island. You can, and if you master this is the secret. That's not a secret. You can create the reality. Listen, FleurBrun creates a reality where I'm gratefully accept that I will have what I need at the time I need it. I do. Thank you, Juanita. Juanita put the name in. I accept the alien code was good too, right, Zelos? Listen, I accept you down for the no bra movement, zero bra movement. I will get arrested. I'll do the no bra movement, but I will get in trouble. It's crazy because people always think that look at the sparkle. This is from me. Look, family. I don't have any sparkles on me. This is from me detoxing today. Look at all the metals coming out of my skin. Remember I was getting sparkles? Look at that. A sparkle coming out of my skin from me detoxing. Look at that. Metal coming out of my skin. Oh, it can't even come off? Wow. Okay. Yeah, she knows something. She's off the chain. I don't even ration with her. So just be, what was I gonna say? Yeah, just be mindful. Yeah, if people start looking a little weird, like I was watching a guy today, like I went to Starbucks. I was looking at a guy, because I still go to Starbucks. I saw a guy today, he was just staring at me and I was staring at him. Like, listen, partner, you put your hand in your pocket, I'm out of here. I always know where the entrance, call me a New Yorker, call me, I will always be here I'm planning to be here for my great-great-great-grandchildren. I plan to be here in sound body and mind for my great-great-grandchildren. So I know when I see anybody putting his hands in his pocket, he starts glitching out, I'm out. I don't need coffee that much. I will be out. See, I won't test it. You know, some people are like fascinated, like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I'm out. I will leave the establishment. There are 50 million Starbucks everywhere. I will go through the drive-through Starbucks. I won't stay around to see you glitch out and start popping off in there. You have to watch people. I know, and that's what I'm saying. Some of you may think I'm paranoid. Am I really paranoid, or am I hyper in awareness? Because people will look. Like, I come from New York, and right before they're about to rob somebody, many of our people from the urban areas. I came from the suburbs and took the train, the Metro North into New York to go to college. How did you know somebody was going to get robbed? What's the first thing that a person does before they rob? They start casing with their eyes. They look like this. Look. They're looking around. They don't think anybody's watching them. This is how I know somebody's up to no good. They go like this. They look around when they think you're not looking, or they don't give you eye contact. Watch people and watch your babies. Because if they can't give you eye contact, or they start looking around, darting their eyes around, that's a sign they're up to no good. People are acting wild, and there's a lot of maturing candidates right now who are super soldiers, they're gonna go like this. There's gonna be a button, somebody's gonna be behind them, push a button, and those suckers are coming into like warrior mode with like 50 million guns. Watch these people. Be careful of people. Watch, and it's okay for you to be alert. Because at this time, we know that there's a looming pole shift. They want all this chaos. You don't have to be a party to it. I don't say you have to stay in the house and hide. Absolutely not. Enjoy your life, but just be aware. Just watch them. I watch. You put your hand in your pocket too long, either you're masturbating or you're about to pop off. I don't know which it is, but either one I don't want to be close to. I'm so French. Creoles, we don't have, I'm sorry. They make the most unattractive statements. Come on now. I'm saying. Just keep a healthy position. And keep calm. And don't ever let people know you're seeing too much either. You know what I mean? Just look at them, and this is what I do. I see them about to do something crazy. I don't know what it is. I just walk out. I will leave my groceries. Listen, family, I've done it before. I will leave my groceries in the middle cart. I am out. How many people will feel
How many people do you know that are not here today? I know people that are not here today because they didn't follow their first mind. Many of you knew I went to CCNY. I had a girlfriend who went to high school with me. Many of you, only my girlfriends who know me from back in the days, and some of my friends. Her name was Dawn. Dawn's boyfriend came in her dorm room in the city and killed her. Do you know before that happened, a week before, no, 2 days before that happened, we were talking about how we knew he was off the chain. We knew something was off, and she said, yeah, he's probably gonna hurt me one day. She said this 2 days before he did it. He went inside Dawn's dorm room, killed her, and then killed himself. We knew it. We talked about it. Follow your first mind. It would be better that you be dead and wrong and alive than dead and wrong. Just be mindful. You know, with the times we're living in, we're now in 2012. You know, the government has super soldiers that are now on remote control. You have people that are going to lose their mind based on the magnetic fields being influxed. So they don't know they're aware. They're drinking, they're chiefing every day, they're eating GMO, they're having Popeyes, they're beating up Popeye employees. These are the type of people that may show up, like Rudolph of Germany says, show up schizophrenic. They may just flip out on you. You may say, that, oh, I like your shoes, and they may just be triggered. It's a kind of very piloted society right now based on us going through a physical shift. You being in self-awareness will disallow you from even experiencing that. That's all. That's it. All right. So, all right, family, I'm going to go. Thank you for joining me today. You saw two blondes in Starbucks who had backpacks, and he laughed. Von said she was out. Listen, you watch that documentary. Listen, sometimes we get warnings. Like some things meant to warn us. Like somebody will send us something that's meant to warn us in our subconscious, and we follow suit. And I say, enjoy. Listen, we have a beautiful, beautiful destination. Everyone should enjoy the journey. But you can enjoy the journey by putting on your seatbelts, making sure that you go to the bathroom before you sit before you get on your journey. Make sure that you have all the necessary tools to go on that journey. That's it. And enjoy the journey and the ride. Then when you get to your destination, I'm here, right? It's beautiful. All right, family, I'm out. Enjoy your amazing day. Thank you for putting all the amazing likes. If you haven't put a like in a video, I appreciate it. I appreciate a like in a video. And thank you so much for joining. And I may come tonight and join you on Instagram, play some music, and we'll talk about everything. And again, for those who are joining for the conference, make sure you hit me up on my email for the conference. Again, you have until the 15th, but I prefer you do it at October 1st for your last tickets. And also for those who are doing on Patreon, you'll be able to book your Patreon spot to watch the conference and the masquerade on Patreon. So you can book as early as October the 2nd, as long as I put it on there. And I think that's it. All right, family, I love you. Oh, and Thursday's show is going to be Don, homeopathic. He's going to give us a whole lot of gems. Don is who I consulted for years. So you guys are going to get a lot with him. So anyone who's going on Patreon, you're going to hear Don on Thursday. All right, yeah, Rudolph of Germany was off the chain. So check out Rudolph's video. Just make sure make sure you like clear yourself. Anyway, I love you, family. Have a masterful day, and peace. Peace, peace, peace. I can't ever close this properly. You were